ahead on 12 News, taking a closer look at your property taxes, how they're figured, and what often creates confusion. Plus, Deal Dead, what the failed Comcast-Time Warner merger could mean for your cable service. But first, reaching out to Native American students, how the Osseo School District is helping them connect with their culture. 12 News starts right now. Hello and thanks for joining us. We'll have more on those stories in just a moment. But first, 12 News has learned embattled Maple Grove Council member Leanne Sargent is stepping down from public office.
Sargent submitted a retirement letter to the mayor this week. Her departure would take effect April 30th. Maple Grove's longest-serving council member faces a sentencing hearing in May for cheating her dying father out of $100,000. It's actually the second time she will be sentenced. In February, the Minnesota Court of Appeals ruled her original sentence was too lenient. City Administrator Al Madsen says the City Council will appoint someone to replace Sargent since she has less than 2 years left on her term. The city could start taking applications in early May. In a few short weeks, local property owners will have to write out some fairly large checks to pay their property tax bills.
That's right. Property taxes help fund city, schools, and county projects, among other things. But how much do you know about the factors that go into determining how much you have to pay? We sent Delane Cleveland to find out.
They've been comfortable, but they just raised mine 52.4%. which is a little excessive.
Property taxes serve as the primary funding source for local governments, but people have differing opinions on the amount they have to pay.
You know, it's high. It's Hennepin County, so you know it's going to be high.
I have absolutely no idea. I've been married 16 years. I paid one bill.
I just got out from underwater, and now they want to raise it 10,000 more.
To sort it all out, we sat down with Brooklyn Park City Assessor Marvin Anderson.
Based on the median value home in the city, depending on the school district, you're probably looking between $2,300 and $2,600.
That's for a median value home of about $172,000. Yet some people pay significantly more.
About $6,200 a year.
For taxes payable in 2015, the city uses a valuation set in January of 2014. To determine that value, they consider a number of factors.
We're looking at the size of the house, the style, whether it's a rambler or a two-story or a split level, the quality and condition of the construction.
In addition, assessors compare your home to properties sold in your neighborhood between October 2012 through September 2013.
What we're looking at for taxes payable this year is what the market was really doing about a year and a half to 2 years ago.
That money then goes to the city, the county, the school district, and the Metropolitan Council, among others.
I mean, I don't mind paying it, my fair share.
I am happy with what they're doing with my taxes. I just would like to have them find some taxes from a few more other places.
In Brooklyn Park, Delane Cleveland, 12 News.
Meanwhile, Brooklyn Park City officials say that in 2014, the city had 185 foreclosures, and that is the lowest number since 2005.
Income tax season ended last week, but for some taxpayers, it's just the beginning of a headache that could take months to resolve. In a 3-day period this week, 7 Plymouth residents reported to police that someone had already filed taxes using their names and social security numbers to get an illegal tax refund. It's happening all over the country. The IRS says fraud prosecutions jumped 75% last year.
Well, it's technically not even your refund. They're just making up numbers a lot of times. They don't have your W-2 information, generally speaking. They don't necessarily need all of your information. They need your Social Security number or your ITIN to file the tax return.
And if that happens to you, the IRS will send a notice saying a return has already been filed using that Social Security number. Then you have to be patient because it could take up to 6 months to clear up, depending on how complex the case is. The IRS says it's another good reason to protect your Social Security number.
No deal. That is the end result of a proposed $45 billion merger between Comcast and Time Warner Cable. Federal government scrutiny and questions about whether the mega merger would benefit the public ultimately sank the deal between the two biggest U.S. cable companies. So what does it mean for the 73,000 Comcast subscribers in the Channel 12 viewing area? Well, at least for now, Comcast will remain your cable provider.
But what they need to know too is that there is other competition knocking on the door. We've talked in the past about CenturyLink. They're interested in competing with Comcast directly head to head. And so that would be good for consumers.
The proposed Comcast-Time Warner Cable merger had been in the works for more than a year. You might remember back in 2011, Comcast successfully acquired NBC Universal.
The funeral for a 10-year-old Crystal boy has been delayed so his mother can travel from Liberia to attend. Barway Collins' funeral had been planned for this Saturday, but has been postponed now until May 2nd. Collins' body was found nearly 2 weeks ago in the Mississippi River. Barway's father, Pierre Collins, is accused of killing the boy to collect insurance money. A Brooklyn Park family has to find a new place to live after a fire heavily damaged their kitchen. It happened Thursday night in the 6600 block of 75th Avenue. Fire officials say nobody was home and the fire burned for some time before it was reported. There were no injuries, but 3 dogs died despite firefighters' best efforts to revive one of them.
Plymouth is building a unique structure to help train firefighters. Firefighters are remodeling several large shipping containers that are normally used on ocean-going vessels. It will be a live fire training facility designed to give firefighters the heat and the smoke conditions that they would see in a real fire. Inside the containers will look like a regular home, complete with windows and stairs.
Through that door, it'll mimic a little bit of what you might find in a house. There'll be a set of stairs also that go up to the upper level and a door that goes through another room. So it'll be set up, much like a standard home.
The fire department hopes to build it for less than $25,000. Part of the project is being paid through private fundraising.
In Robbinsdale, something that hasn't happened since the 1970s. The Lake Association for Lower Twin Lake has raised enough money to stock the lake with perch and walleye. In the recent past, Lower Twin Lake has been bothered by pollution and invasive plants. The weeds were so much a problem that boats couldn't get through some of the areas. Thanks to the Lake Association, the problem has improved and the lake is no longer considered impaired. A cleanup and fish stocking event will take place at the Lower Twin Lake boat landing next Saturday, May 2nd. Still to come, Osseo area schools help Native American students connect with their culture.
Plus, Maple Grove and Armstrong play a thriller in prep baseball. We'll have the highlights later in sports.
But first, cloudy and cool on Saturday, then hints of spring on Sunday. The Osseo School District's American Indian Education Program is growing.
Currently, there are more than 200 students in the program. As Sonia Goins shows us, the goal is to help students connect with their culture.
Look around and you see many faces of color at Osseo Senior High School, but the number of Native American students is relatively low.
Sometimes it does make me feel like a little bit of an outcast.
Veronica Nash is with the Haida tribe, which is based in Alaska. She's also a participant in the district's American Indian Education Program.
So I always used to wear moccasins and wear a lot of the traditional stuff, and people would make fun of it.
She turned that experience into a learning opportunity.
So we decided to come into the classroom, and we taught the class the history and what each the moccasins mean, or the regalia, and what we have to do to earn those things.
The American Indian Program meets twice a month in the classroom. Cultural classes are also taught outside of school.
It's good that our voices are heard and that we learn our culture, because when we learn our culture, we can teach it on to our grandkids and our other kids too.
Brett LaFleur is Blackfoot and Cherokee.
I am white, but I'm also Native.
This year, there are 18 Native students who are in the American Indian Program who are graduating.
When we learn about being Native American, we can apply that to our schoolwork also.
Besides hitting the books, Brett is also a Native American drummer.
Drumming it can either signify marriage, it can signify anything.
And so I made this.
Veronica is a shawl dancer.
The bear paw is just the path of my life.
This was her first project.
We put it on our back like this, and then when we dance, it symbolizes the bird or the butterfly.
Both Veronica and Brett say the program has helped to debunk stereotypes and created more awareness about Native American culture.
I think that just made me more confident knowing who I am.
In Osseo, Sonia Goins, 12 News.
On Saturday, the 20th annual American Indian Education Day and Powwow will take place at Osseo Junior High from 1 to 6. The event is open to the public.
Coming up, a look at what's happening on the local theater scene. We get a preview of Next to Normal.
But first, action from the opening round of the Tri-State Invitational Golf Tournament at Edinburgh. Jay Wilcox has that and more next in sports. Jay Wilcox with sports. We're starting with golf and a tournament that still has one more day to go.
That's right, and a lot of weather situations early in this. It's an early season tournament. They say, year in, year out, you can't expect great things, but not terrible really for the first day. A little cold and windy. After a long stint at the University of Minnesota's Les Bolstead Golf Course, the big Tri-State Invitational Boys High School Golf Tournament moved to Brooklyn Park's Edinburgh, USA 5 years ago. Round one Friday, and this is Wayzata's Bobby Frazzini teeing off. He overcomes a tough front nine to shoot a 79. His teammate Alex Beversdorf is on target with this birdie putt on number 17. Beversdorf plays well with a 1 over 73. Wayzata's Van Holmgren put his tee shot in the water at 17, but recovers nicely, curling in the par putt. He also shoots a 73 for the Trojans. Brady Gronwald of Rogers overshot the green with his approach, but he recovers too to sink the par putt on 17, and he cards a 77. A great putt here for Sam Cartford of Forest Lake as he is right on the money from about 20 feet with the birdie putt on 17. He shoots a 73, and the final round is Saturday at Edinburgh. Two local baseball teams that expect to contend in the Northwest Suburban Conference met up in a pitcher's duel as Armstrong paid a visit to Maple Grove. Against Armstrong ace Jordan Kuznia, Maple Grove leadoff hitter Adam Brandt turns on an 0-2 pitch and takes it deep over the fence and left. The solo homer for Brandt leads off the bottom of the first, and it's 1-0 Crimson. In the third, Crimson pitcher Brett Schultz fields the comebacker and sees Mitch Verbaten straying off second. He fires to second to get the lead runner, and it stays 1-0. To the sixth inning, Armstrong's Jack Wibben bounces to second. Maple Grove gets the out at first, but Corey Gilbert dashes for home and just beats the throw to even the game up at 1-1. In the top of the seventh, Armstrong looking to steal a runner into scoring position, but Drew Lewis guns him down at second to end the Falcons' threat. The bottom of the seventh, bases full for the Crimson, and Austin Matheson comes through. His hit to left scores Lucas Burrington with the winning run as Maple Grove takes a thriller 2-1. It's never over till it's over. That motto served the Wayzata girls lacrosse team well Thursday in a great battle with Hopkins. Hopkins is in white and they waste no time. Sammy Gallinson scores just 11 seconds into the game. After Hopkins dominates early, Wayzata storms back. Meg Ransom scores one of her 4 goals to make it 4-4, and it's 5-5 at the half. Second half, and Hopkins takes control again. Elena Boyce up the left side scores as she's knocked down to make it 7-5. McKenna Moe gets to the net to make it 9-6 Royals, and they seem to be in command. But Wayzata comes back hard with 3 goals in 30 seconds. Caitlin Riley ties it up 9-9 here. And they aren't satisfied with tying it. Ransom splits 3 defenders and banks it off the goalie and in for a 10-9 Wayzata lead. But Hopkins ties it up with 18 seconds left on a goal by Gallinson, and we are headed to overtime, tied up at 10-10. The OT belongs to Wayzata. Riley beats 4 defenders to score here as the Trojans win a wild one 13-10. In the boys' game, 3-1 Hopkins hosting the 3-0 and 4th-ranked Trojans. Max Stecker gets Wayzata on the scoreboard first, passing to Grant Long for the goal. The first of 3 on the night for Long. Hopkins ties it 3 minutes later when Andrew Jackson comes from behind the net to sneak a shot in for a goal. Long breaks the tie 40 seconds later with a shot from about 13 yards out. Long's goal puts the Trojans ahead for good. Amar Batra fights off the Hopkins defender and works his way free for a shot in tight. Wayzata builds a 4-1 lead after a quarter. Second quarter, Long sets up Alex Goki for the shot. The freshman nets his first varsity goal to give the Trojans a 7-1 lead. They lead 8-1 at the half. Hopkins scores 5 in the 4th quarter to make it somewhat close. Nick Culp gets this one, but it's not enough. Wayzata beats Hopkins by a score of 10-6, and they are looking like one of the better teams around again this year.
All right, thanks a lot, Jay. Up next, Weekend Showcase takes us to the theater.
We're at Yellow Tree Theater in Osseo for a preview of Next to Normal. Earth Week ended with a celebration at North Hennepin Community College. The week included the reopening and expansion of a community garden located in the center of campus.
So as we plant things, we invite students and faculty and administrators and staff to come by and pick out salad stuff or strawberries, and it works really well. In about a month, these beds will just be overflowing with green.
Jerry Hirth says many students on the campus have never had gardening experience before. Well, the final production of their season, Yellow Tree Theater, serves up a musical with a very serious edge.
And Neil Persley has more in today's Weekend Showcase.
Who's crazy?
Next to Normal is a rock musical about a family that is doing their best to stay together while dealing with the mental illness of the mother.
This production actually required some remodeling of the theater space.
When we first started rehearsal, we were rehearsing in the green room space, and they knocked out a wall to be able to make space for the pit orchestra. So there's an awesome band, live accompaniment.
Jessica Lynn Peterson plays Diana Goodman, a wife with a loving husband, 2 teenage children living in the suburbs who should be living the dream.
But she suffers from bipolar disorder, and so she has to deal with all the ups and downs, the highs and lows, and her family has to deal with all the ramifications of the meds that she's on.
Making sandwiches on the floor.
The set is Spartan and sterile, yet the play travels from home to school to various doctors' offices.
It's a musical about mental illness, which might sound strange to some people, but it won the Pulitzer Prize for Drama. It won multiple Tony Awards. It's a very powerful story.
This is not a play for the whole family. The thematic material is adult-oriented. The language is at times very coarse, and there is illicit drug use portrayed on stage. Next to Normal isn't a happy story that will leave you feeling warm and fuzzy afterward.
It's real. It's a very real piece. It's a very honest piece.
You know, that's just not there.
But the actors are excellent and the singing and music are very well done. For the language and drug use, I'll have to rate this one NFK, not for kids. For Weekend Showcase, I'm Neil Persley.
And Next to Normal runs now through May 17th at Yellow Tree Theater in Osseo. Have a great weekend.